high priorities for 2024 and 25 for HR in the state of North Dakota really ties back to how are we getting top talent in the door, how are we keeping them here, and how are we growing them. And so that's not just about the people coming in and in our system, but it's about the systems that also support them.
We work with 30 plus agencies across the state of North Dakota, and I have 6 agencies that I work with. And so some of my priorities with those agencies is I do everything from employee relations to recruiting to workforce planning and engagement with those agencies. And so my priorities are serving those agencies and providing those HR services to those agencies.
My day can vary quite a bit each day, but I spend a lot of my time doing classification request reviews. I'll be on LinkedIn Recruiter doing active sourcing for potential team members to join us, and then also working on some of these larger compensation surveys. So really a lot of what I'm doing is focusing on making sure we have the right job classifications and the right total reward strategy in place so that we can attract and retain good talent here within Team ND.
So I definitely focus on day-to-day activities first. A lot of the things that we do are time sensitive, so we don't want the agencies waiting on us. And so that's a top priority, is to handle those day-to-day tasks, answering phone calls, adding recruitment questions so that HR members can get those jobs posted on our website.
I would say legislative session is an extremely busy period for us because we have the legislative activities that have to take place in 80 days, and we have to keep up with all of our regular day-to-day work at that time as well.
I use my Outlook calendar quite a bit, and I put a lot of prospective deadlines on that calendar. If I have different job openings open with certain agencies, I put those when they'll close so that we can move that recruitment process along.
So I use a combination of to-do task manager within Outlook as well as calendar blocking. And then between those two, I have a lot of flagged emails that I'm able to move up and down the list so I know what those deadlines are, and I can adjust the urgency or priority within both of those apps. And then with the calendar blocking, it allows me to kind of forecast how much time something might take, and then I can really make sure when it gets to that point, I can dedicate my time to it and not have other interruptions come up as best as possible.
I would start by telling them just to write everything down, whether it's today's task, this year's, next year's, like literally write it all down into a massive list and just breaking it into small steps.
I have to keep the tasks straight in writing or it's not going to happen. So in writing can look like my physical weekly agenda that I use. This one happens to be from Ink and Volt. I like it the way it's laid out, but I can lay out what are the A tasks that have to be done, what's B that can be flexed, and what can wait until next week but still needs to happen. I will also think about, of everything on this list, what are 5-minute tasks? What are 15-minute tasks? What need those bigger blocks of time? Because then I can better position, hey, you know what? I had a meeting give me 5 minutes back in my day. What does that really mean? I just go grab a 5-minute task and I get it done.
You know, I just work it into my day, and so a lot of it depends on what the agency needs. And so if they have a high priority need, an employee relations issue that needs to be dealt with, right away, I kind of just put everything else aside and work on that issue, for that agency, and then get back to those other tasks that I have on my plate. So it really depends on the needs of the agencies that I'm working with.
I'd say just don't be afraid to ask for help. We have a really great team here within OMB and within HRMS specifically, and everyone's willing to jump in and help, whether it's taking a couple things off your plate or if you just have questions on maybe a better way to do something that you haven't done before. We're all willing to jump in and help out to make sure that we're providing the best service we can.
I start to prioritize all my tasks based on weekly, monthly, maybe a couple times a week, and I just have those organized so that everything just falls into essentially a list of priority. So kind of depending on that volume from the agency. So July tends to be busier because of kind of everything session-wise is starting that July 1st. So yeah, we'll get like an influx then, and then during those slower times, again, it just gives me more time to delegate to other tasks.
Sometimes people ping you like it's critical, And maybe it's not, so helping them understand when I will get to it. What's your deadline and where is it coming from? And understanding, do I have room to negotiate that deadline?
It's really important to block some time on your calendar for some of the project work, strategic project work that you would like to get to. And so you're going to have a lot of those day-to-day interruptions and responsibilities and things like that come on your plate. But how important it is to set aside some time throughout the week just to work on some of the key projects that your team would like to accomplish, and some of that strategic type of work that will help move your team forward.
I really try and focus on the items that have an impact to an individual team member or for decisions that are needed to make business choices going forward, and then things that don't fall into those buckets usually get pushed down the list a little further. I try to really take a look at what is going on my desk at that time, and then also trying to be transparent with the person who gave me a call or sent me an email about what my workload looks like, and through those conversations try and see, do you need something from me right away, or can this wait a couple days or even a week to where I'll have more time a little bit down the road and I can make sure I get you the best product that you need.
It's really based on volume for us. So if we're getting high amounts of position requests to be added, whether they're added or updated, that's going to affect everything else.
Yes, we need to work hard, we need to run hard, but we also need to be kind to ourselves and take care of ourselves. Because if we go down, none of that list gets done.